going to go ahead and repot some rescue succulents today. These were actually rescued from either Lowe's or Home Depot, and I had it outside, but you can see that the squirrels actually got to them. So the squirrel actually bit off the bottom of the succulent, and you can tell that the rain had actually gotten to the roots here. So we're going to go ahead and repot this today. So I've actually rinsed off the roots. You can see that this was originally one plant coming up of one root system before the squirrels got to it. You can see here that it is starting to rot a little bit, and that is a very uneven cut. Right there. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this off, but first I'm going to go ahead and pot this up. You can see that there is a lot of white roots. These are actually new roots that are growing, so that's actually a good sign that this is going to pull through and be just fine. I'm going to go ahead and prune off this little stump here. You can see that it is actually it's actually broken off here, and it's not in one complete branch kind of coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and prune that off with my pruning shears. So I'm going to go ahead and just snip that right off here. Now this here is a bonsai pot that I have. I like to go for smaller size pots just because when they are recovering, the root system isn't very good at taking up the soil, and in situations like that, I rather water more often and have more even drying than have the roots rot away because the water is sitting too long. So you can see how it would kind of fit in here. What I think I'm going to end up doing is just water propagating this half here. I decided to leave the metal in here so it can actually help hold the plant in place, and I'm going to go ahead and just put the soil in here. This is the soil mix I had made for the other succulent, the jade plant. Okay, just to give it a little something to start on. Okay, and this will just kind of hold everything in place. I'm just going to twist it down here. Okay. And I am going to go ahead and fill in the rest of this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and water it. So what we are going to do next is we are actually going to be pruning off this, because you can see that there is a big gaping wound here. And that means that bacteria and infections can easily get in. So I'm going to go ahead and prune this off, and then I'm actually going to end up water propagating this, which means I'm going to stick it in a water container. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually, you know what? I think this will just pull right off. Yep. And if it was healthy, like this piece, you can actually put in soil and see if it grows on its own. You can see. You can actually put it right in soil and see if it'll grow on its own. So this piece here, because it's not at the end, I'm going to go ahead and snip it right off. Right, nice clean cut here. That'll actually get thrown away. And it's same here. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and just remove this. Even though it's a nice healthy growth, I'm going to try to propagate that on its own. And then these, with all the teeth marks, that's actually going to get thrown out. We don't want to be propagating anything that might lead to a risk of infection. this is what we did. You can tell it's mostly this side that ended up getting chewed up by the squirrel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sanitize this just because we cut off all the bits that were questionable. We're going to go ahead and sanitize this. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and cut this off. You can see this part here is still a little bit mushy. So, you know what, we're just going to leave it. We're going to cut it at that angle. I just realized here as well, we want to cut off that piece. Try and get around that spike there. Okay, we're going to let that area dry. Okay. We're going to let this sit for a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and stick it in a container and propagate it. All right, so here's the final product. We do have this pot planted here. It's fully watered. You can actually see that the wiring is holding the plant in place. I also put the additional pieces that I pulled off here to see if they propagate on their own, which succulents have been known to do. On the other hand, I am actually going to go ahead and water propagate this. You can see that the bottom of it is just barely in the water, and once it grows roots, I will be able to see the roots through the clear glass. I do actually love having these little spice jars as propagating tools because they are always around, and they're the perfect size to kind of hold a plant. All right, so final product.